Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening and welcome to the Patriots Touchback Podcast. Better late than never. We are here on a Friday night to talk about many things surrounding the New England Patriots. And I've been given hosting duties for this evening, so a big honor for me. I'm joined by DJ and Nick. Before we get started, of course, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Hit the like button, Gronk spike the subscribe button, and follow us on the Sports Social Network. Lads, it's a pleasure to be here with you on this Friday night. Better late than never, as we said. We wanted to do a pod, and what a great time to do it off the back of being at Wembley. And before we get into the game itself, I think we've got to highlight the positive of the day, and that was the fact that the 6 members of the Patriots Touchback Podcast were together for the first time. And I have to say, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you boys.
Yes. Result aside, it was a good day. I would say that anybody who's joined our socials and subscribed to our YouTube on the back of being given a card at the game, then welcome. We decided that we just wanted to put ourselves out there a bit and let people know that we existed a little bit. So if you have joined our, social channels and our YouTube and you're listening to this because of some crazy person gave you a card, then much appreciated. The result wasn't great, but as a day out, it was nice to meet everybody. DJ and Carl, obviously, I've met before, so it was nice to meet you, Kieran and JD and Joe. So, all good.
And DJ, you came all the way over from Gibraltar, so great commitment from you.
Flew over on the Friday, on the Saturday morning. Met up with Carl first of all, got chatting a little bit, and then obviously on Sunday,
rubbing shoulders with RKK as well.
Yeah. Oh yes, that was on Saturday night as well. Yeah. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, like Nick just said, the result wasn't the best of results, but as a pod and as a brands that we are, it was the first time that we all got together as 6, and yeah, it was nice. It was a nice day out.
Yeah, definitely. It was a score aside, which we'll come into the game itself in a bit, was a really good day out. I mean, celebrate the fact it's the first time the team had been here in over 10 years, and a great turnout at Wembley Stadium. A record crowd, by the way, which I was absolutely stunned by. I don't know why that set an NFL UK record when it was 2-1 and 5 teams, but still, great to see so many Patriots fans in London. And of course, if you did pick up one of our cards and you're a new listener to the podcast, thank you very much for tuning in to the Patriots Touchback Podcast this evening, and we hope you will be with us for the rest of the season and beyond. DJ, Pat's party in London. Let's go to that on the Saturday night first. You were there, Joe was there, as was Carl, and you met a certain Mr. Robert Kraft.
Yeah, so the night started off really early. So I think we started to queue up around 5-ish, and the doors were going to open at 6 with the party due to start at 7. So I believe Carl and Joe were in the Greenwood pub prior to that. They were watching, I think, the footy. They got booted out around 4:00-ish, and they started texting the group saying, "Look, I think we all need to get down here pretty soon because the queues are starting to develop." So that was it. I was on the tube into Victoria Street, and then as soon as I got outside of Victoria Street, there was already a massive queue to get in. So I think people were anticipating to get there early to get their tables and etc. So yeah, we stood there for a good hour. Me and Carl. Joe then joined us later. We got greeted in this massive pub thing. There was 2 levels. I think the VIPs were upstairs, and then the general entrance was down at the bottom. And yeah, it was nice to see a lot of other Patriot fans that are not in the UK as well. I mean, you had people from Denmark, from Germany, people flying even from Boston over as well. It just goes to show, like you just said, Kevin, there about the attendance, like record-breaking attendance for this particular game. I think it just goes to show what the Patriots kind of fan base is. It's quite a large and substantial fan base. So yeah, Saturday started off that, get a couple of drinks in, and then there's Fred Kurse from Patriots Unfiltered. He was the main host there. He was there the whole night, and obviously he was then giving out free T-shirts and wristbands and etc. And then throughout the night, he was giving like free tickets, doing little competitions and stuff. And then Marcus Cannon, he rocked up for a bit, gave a little bit of an intro or a little bit of a scene about his past experience when he was with the Patriot, how the Patriot locker room was with a certain Brady, and how different it is now compared to not having Bill Belichick there and having a new rookie quarterback, how everything's kind of like needs time to like settle in. Everything's fresh, everything's new. He then obviously left for a while, came back again. He did a couple of like signatures, and you could go upstairs and sit with him and have your photo taken. That was towards the endish, and we're thinking, well, that's it then. And then the next minute, I said to Carl, I said, right, I'm dying for a week. I need to go upstairs. I need to go pee. So I went and did my thing, came back down. And as I was coming back down the stairs, this woman said to me, you can't come down. And I was like, yo, I need to go down. My table's down there. My pint is down there. I need to get downstairs. And she's like, no, you can't. It's this pathway is blocked off. I'm thinking, what do you mean blocked off? She goes, no, it's blocked off. You can't. You're going to have to stay upstairs. Thinking, but the VIP area is upstairs. So I can't even get into there. She wandered off, and I decided just to go down the stairs. And as I was going down the stairs, this other security guard said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going over there to my table. He says, no, just stand there. Just stay there. The next minute, I see this, I don't know, I think it was a massive Land Rover, black Land Rover, just pull up on the like a back entrance door, whatever it was. I'm thinking, oh, someone's coming. And I'm thinking, well, it's just Tom Brady. I'm fucking get my lube out and get ready. Tom Brady's coming. And then I just I see this old guy get out the thingy. I'm thinking, holy shit, it's Robert Kraft. It's fucking Mr. Kraft himself. And I'm getting my phone out. I'm fucking recording it. I said, oh God, it's Ricard. And he walks right in front of me. Like as the geezer said to me, just stay there. He walks right in front of me. And then I just like grabbed his hand and I was like, all right, nice to meet you. Blah, blah. And then he obviously then did his speech in front of the whole pub. So yeah, that was an unforgettable memory. And
you harassed him.
Yeah.
You were harassed him, basically.
I harassed him, yeah. Said, pay a left tackle, you tight mother beep. Nah. But yeah, it was definitely a good night.
I'm sure he probably would like to, but unfortunately, Elliot Wolf is the one with that control, and he seems to.
There was various chants around saying,
"There we go,
pay a left tackle."
Well, maybe that'll feed back because we definitely need to sort that out. That's for certain. Although the line's not been as bad the last 2 weeks, but no, it's good and it's great to see such an attendance for an event like that in London. You know, we know we've got a great fan base over here, but yeah, that's fantastic, and that's great for the franchise to see that when they come here, that you know, Kraft has walked into that situation and seen the bar absolutely heaving with fans. Like that just justifies the whole reason to bring the team here. So, no, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
What is it with you and Kraft though? Because when we were in Frankfurt last year, we all went to that. We all went to that sort of Patriots thing, you know, and had our pictures taken with the six Lombardi,
the 6 ring,
and you know, and got whatever gear you wanted.
No, it wasn't Kraft. It was we stayed a little longer, didn't we? Because you guys went to some of it. I saw, because Malcolm Butler was there.
Yeah,
it was Malcolm Butler.
I was busy trying to get the cheerleaders to sign their
the book
pictures on the. I think I've got it here. Actually, so I was busy trying to get cheerleaders to sign their pictures on Oh, at one point, I felt like a right pervert. But yeah, I mean, and then you went back, and that's it. Yeah. So
Yeah, I went back, met Malcolm Butler.
Some cheerleaders that signed their pictures, and then you went back and you saw Kraft, didn't you?
He was going into but this was a separate. We couldn't get into that room. It was a separate VIP thingy. But he got out of his car and went into the back of the room. But Malcolm was in the general admission point.
Yeah.
And then he was at that party then later on as well with Ninkovic and Volmer. But yeah, we just keep crossing paths. Weird.
Very, very good. Well, anyway, let's get on to what happened actually at Wembley on Sunday, and it all started so well, boys, but it quickly unravelled. A 32-16 loss against Jacksonville, which pains me to say because we should never be losing to teams like Jacksonville. But yeah, it all started so well. A great first touchdown drive. Drake May finds Jermichael Hasty, gives it a bit of a wiggle, gets in the end zone. We take the lead via a touchdown and then kick a field goal. And in the first quarter, we were well in control of the game. But what the bloody hell happened after that?
Yeah, I think that first quarter, I thought we was on a winning day. I think to go up 10-0, we controlled that quarter. We moved the ball around. We didn't give Jacksonville any time on the clock. And I thought we was going to do it. And then the second quarter hit and it was just like back to the same old Patriots. Like, we don't know what happened. We couldn't stop their run game. No matter what we did on defense, they just seemed to find a hole and they would break for like, I think it's 5 or 6 yards per carry every time they run the ball.
I mean, that punt that was returned for 97-yard touchdown, longest
just before
punt
the half
return. Yeah, longest punt return in NFL in like 3 years or something, and the longest punt return in London. But it was like, it's almost as if that sucked the life out of the team. Because he got to sort of just before midfield, sort of like 35, 40-yard line. And there was that little sort of jig that he did, and it busted the middle field coverage. And you just ended up with a defender on his backside, and the guy had gone by then. And it was just like it sucked the life out of the team. And I think, I know that Alex Van Pelt isn't getting great reviews and whatever, but Drake May can only do so much, Yeah. With Polk was dropping everything. Tell you what I would do to Polk. Those batting cages, I'd stick him in there, I'd put a jug machine in there, and I'd fire 300 balls at him and say, you're not coming out of this cage until you catch every single bloody ball, and fire 300 balls at him at 40 miles an hour.
He's in concussion protocol at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great game for Jalen Polk. 3 big drops and a slip over for a 2-point conversion. It was a rough night, a really rough night, and it doesn't. He's already been ruled out for this weekend, so we won't see him against the Jets. But that was, it was at the point where it was frustrating to watch, but equally you felt sorry for him at the same time because kind of like he couldn't catch a break or a cold or all the ball even. But yeah, it was difficult, but. I think you guys are right when you said that knocked the stuffing out of us. We were in control. Jacksonville then brought it back with the touchdown to Brian Thomas. And you think, okay, well, we're 10-7 up. It's not too bad. But then the momentum swung so quickly. You had the deep shot to Brian Thomas for 58 yards with Gonzo. Gonzo couldn't recover enough to be able to stop. That leads to Tank Bigsby's touchdown. And then the the punt return, just a couple of drives later, and then suddenly you're going from being 10-7 up, and you're in a 2-score hole. And we're not designed to come from behind. Like we can't come back on teams. And as soon as that happened, you just the confidence in a team that's probably already struggling massively with confidence issues at the moment just got sapped out of the team, and it was almost like Drake May versus the world because. really for a large part of that game, and maybe forgetting the end of the fourth quarter, there was no one doing anything other than Drake.
Yeah, I think he performed really well. I mean,
bullied defensively.
Stats wise, he was 26 of 37, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, you can't ask for much more from the guy. I mean, I get that his favorite target seemed to be Henry because he had 8 receptions for 92. You got to then think, okay, Pop went out early in the game as well due to illness. Polk was dropping issues. Boutte seems to be his prime target at the moment because he's had another massive deep throw to him, and he brought that one in as well. I don't know what else we could do.
Drake May can't receive the ball from the centre, throw the ball, and catch the ball.
Catch it.
You know, he can't do it all himself. But what I thought was very interesting is listening to Tom Curran's podcast on Tuesday, when they were talking about the review of the game. Apparently, according to some players, the reason Pop wasn't very well is they'd been eating crap. They'd been up on Saturday night. They'd been up till 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning playing whatever, college football 25 or playing Madden and eating rubbish. And that's apparently why Pop wasn't very well. And
talks about food poisoning as well, but it's an excuse. I know 4 players had it, but still, and you don't envy that. It's horrible, but it just seems to be on the list of excuses after what was a poor performance. But
where's the discipline there? Because you don't go abroad international wise and stay up till 3-4 o'clock. Okay, what are they going to just blame it on the jet lag or because I can't get to sleep? It's just very unprofessional.
And I've got a big point on this. I put this in the group chat, and teams approach things differently in terms of how they handle the international schedule. Now, the Patriots did not land in London until 7:15 on Friday morning. They then had a couple of hours downtime before going into press and practice. They've then got Friday night. They've got the Saturday off. A few of them went exploring around London, and then the game on Sunday. I do not think that is enough time to adapt. And I know they try and keep them on US time, but the difference is it's all very well when 2 teams are flying over at the same time and they're both landing late in the week out of choice. But Jacksonville had been here for over a week, had acclimatized to the UK, had acclimatized to the time difference. They got themselves in a routine. And ultimately, that benefited it. Now, as soon as you saw the schedule and you knew that Jacksonville were playing it back to back, I would have said, right, as soon as we play Houston at the weekend, that's out the way. Yeah. We're flying to London.
I say Tuesday. That's it. Should have gone on Tuesday.
Yeah. Could have gone straight from Houston. Could have gone. We played Houston at home. Sorry, we played Houston at home, didn't we? We played Houston at home on the Sunday. You could have done all your tape review on Monday and then flown out Monday night. Give them Tuesday off because they normally have Tuesday off anyway. And then but it's not foreign to the Jaguars. Last year they did 2 weeks in a row. They come here so often that they know exactly what they're doing. But a stat I have for you, 7 of the last 9, or that'll be 8 out of the last 10, including this week, including the Patriots. 8 of the last 10 teams that have turned up late have lost. That is a stat that I had last year. So, obviously teams need to give you the best chance. You need to be turning up early. It's not like when the Patriots did it in whatever it was, 2016 against
2012.
Against the St. Louis Rams, where they came in, landed Friday morning, did one training day walkthrough on Saturday, played the game Sunday, had it won by the end of the third quarter, and then flew home on that Sunday night. So,
but that's the experience that they had in that kind of core that they have now. Us as the way we are now, we're all rookies. We've never been international. It's just, yeah, the timing was atrocious. I believe we should have come over on the Tuesday at least. But
yeah, I agree. I think the problems we're now hearing with like we said, like the food poisoning or whatever, like the players not had enough time for their bodies to adapt to anything. No wonder they were tired and lethargic and getting bullied on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage on Sunday. It's because they've been in the country for a day and a half against the Jags team that's been here for 2 weeks. Like their bodies weren't ready for that level of, strain. So I just think it's a huge mistake. It isn't the reason we lost the game because there were errors we made, and we'll come on to the comments from Gerard Mayo in a bit. But like, I do think that is a contributing factor. And I would address that going forward if we ever come back here again. On to those comments from Gerard Mayo then. Came out after the game, called the team soft. This has kind of been one of those comments that's been bounced back and forth, overanalyzed. A lot of people have had a lot to say about it. Personally, I ain't got an issue with it because if you get dominated on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage, you can't run the ball, and you get ran all over and a team just outfights you, then why not go and say, do you know what? I think this team's soft, to try and stoke the fire, try and get a little bit of a fire burning so they want to try and prove a point. Sometimes if players are reacting negatively to that, then that's a mindset thing. That's a mindset problem. So personally, I don't have an issue with it, and I would like to see a response this weekend against the Jets.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Where are we at, boys?
The Jets game's going to go one of two. You've either lit a fire under their backside, and they're going to come out all guns blazing and put in a performance. Because I was trying to do my picks for this weekend today, funnily enough, and that was something that I couldn't decide, and I still haven't put an answer in on the Patriots game. Are you going to see a different kind of Patriots come out, guns blazing, ignite, fire in their bellies and absolutely smash the Jets? Or are you going to get another inept performance where the Jets themselves weren't exactly brilliant at the weekend? They come out with a fire in there, but, they're struggling as well. And, it's a hard game to don't let us lose twice to the Jets in one season. I mean, I hate losing to the Jets anyway, but not twice in a year.
Yeah, I see. I see the from both aspects. I get that what Mayo said might have damaged the locker room slightly, but then again, we were playing soft, and he's only basically telling them the truth. We're a soft football team at the moment. We're not disciplined enough. We're not playing hard. I get there's Boston media out there saying, "Oh, you can't say that. You're just destroying it. You need to go. You need to be sacked." And there was like rumors flying around saying that he might even be released like mid-year and blah blah blah. I honestly don't believe it. I think I said to Kieran before, like he'll stay at least this year and one more, and then we'll see. I think it's more interesting what the players had to say after he came out and said that they were soft. I can't remember who it was. Was it Ellis? Did he get interviewed on the press conference box after Mayo? I believe it was Ellis.
So. But there are a number of players that have basically come out, and none of them players have come out and said that it's been taken badly by anyone. Like they've all said, like, yeah, that hurts, but we know we've got to be better. So they've all acknowledged that it was for the right reasons, which I think is a positive thing. The reaction's been very mixed, but I think the players are taking it the right way. Sorry, and I mean, look at this weekend. Look, we are going to be the underdogs against the Jets. I mean, they pulled the limbs off us a few weeks ago, but they've kind of fallen into a little bit of disarray the last couple of weeks with their performances. What a great game, though. I mean, I'm not suggesting for a minute I think we're going to win this game, but what a great game, though. You've just flown across the world. You've lost 6 games in a row. You've lost in London. You're being called soft by your head coach in the media. Now go out there on Sunday and try and batter the hell out of your biggest rivals. There is no better game to go out there and prove that you are not soft by mauling the Jets, because you should look at them with disdain. You know, they are the biggest rival of our team. You should want to smash the hell out of them more than anyone else. So this is a weekend where they really have to prove it now. And if we get steamrolled on both sides of the ball again, then maybe coach has got a point and this roster needs an overhaul.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close one as well.
Gerard Mayo as a coach is still very raw. He's very inexperienced. Michael Holley was on PFT Wednesday, I think he was. Michael Holley was on Wednesday, and I realised Michael Holley's not everybody's cup of tea. But he was telling an interesting stuff. Well, a story I found interesting was that back some years ago, sort of 2018, Gerard Mayo was working in TV with Michael Holley. He was doing, you know, the Gamecast stuff and the reviewing the games in the studio, and he was doing that with, funnily enough, as you mentioned him earlier, Rob Ninkovich. And he was saying that Michael Holley asked him about coaching and he had no desire to go into coaching, wasn't interested. And then apparently Bill Belichick got involved and started needling in his ear and whatever else and taking him here and taking him there, you know, and brought him in. And Gerard got the nickname Gerard Belichick, because he was like a third son to Bill. And I think that's probably where Bill's gripe with Mayo comes from, the fact that he feels like he's been stabbed in the back. But listening to Michael Holley, you just think Gerard Mayo's so inexperienced, so raw as a coach. You know, it's not like he's got, and I realize Gerard Mayo's a defensive coach, but it's not like he's got an super experienced team behind him that have gone there and done. Like, remember when Sean McVay came on the scene? Who did he have as his DC? Wade Phillips. Been there, seen it, done it, got the T-shirt, and he himself is now a head coach in the
Mayo's
XFL.
got no one.
You know, can't stop winning. So Gerard Mayo, I mean, he's got Alex Van Pelt, who, again, not the greatest, but that's literally where the experience is at the main. You know, apart from Brian Belichick in safeties coach, you know, he hasn't got masses of experience. So I wonder whether that's a problem, in that there's not enough wise old heads in the building.
Do you guys think it's time to make the change now, as in, like, get rid of?
No, because I would
Van
stick
Pelt.
Mayo.
No, Mayo. Van Pelt and Covington, and maybe even give Josh McDaniels a call and say, yo, do you want to come as the OC, as an offensive coordinator? Josh
wouldn't do that. Josh would not go anywhere near that, because he's waiting for Bill to call him in the summer and say, right, we're going to
Raiders.
We're going to the Giants, or we're going to the Cowboys.
Raiders, isn't it? With Brady and fucking Bill.
I think he's more likely to go to the Giants or the Cowboys, I think. But again, Covington's inexperienced, but Mayo's the head coach. Mayo can overrule Covington if he really wants at any point. I don't think there's enough experience across the board. Even you look higher up than Mayo. Elliot Wolf's not exactly flush with experience in the position he's in. So, you know, we're a very
unexperienced rookie.
Naive, is that the right word? We're a very naive team, both front office and coaching, and that in turn comes down to the pitch level and comes onto with the players. So I don't know. I mean, this isn't the first year that we're having problems. It just seems to be getting worse from last year and the year before and the year before. You know, you can't tell me that when Brady left, that the whole thing fell apart. One man doesn't make a team.
But it was the start, though, I believe.
I think it was the start.
Downfall kind of began then. Yeah. Just not what you said about the coaching staff. Yeah, is incredibly inexperienced. Van Pelt is the only one. And this is a guy that's not even called plays before. But I want to give him credit to a certain extent for developing Drake May, because those things that he was getting pulled up on in the offseason after the draft, where certain deficiencies that Drake had, seem to have been worked on. Like, he looks a lot better at those things, such as his footwork and like his timing and his seeing of the field and stuff like that is miles better from what it was at North Carolina. So I think the development of the player is great, but the play calling and the structure of the offense isn't. And I think Mayo is going to get another year as head coach, regardless if we go 1-16. I think he'll get another year, but I would not be surprised if there's a coordinator change. Will it be this soon? I think they'll be hesitant to do so, but I do think it could happen at some point. Everyone's going to clamour for Josh McDaniels, but I'm with you, Nick. I'm not sure why he would come back now. I think he will probably end up rocking up wherever Bill ends up next. So yeah, then if you fire AVP, who takes over? Is it going to be someone in-house? Does TC McCartney take the job? Like, you're not really fixing anything, really, unless you've got someone lined up to go mid-season. So it's a bit of a difficult one. But yeah, I think as much as Mayo is an inexperienced coach to his own extent, he should have done more to build out a more experienced, established coaching staff, because there is a lot of guys doing these jobs for the first time. And it's great to have some young coaches coming through, but you need some experience there. And that is that's hurting us at the moment, especially with a young roster as well.
I think one thing was what was really peeing me off on that game, especially the Jags one, is our play calling. We're so predictable in what we're doing right at the moment. It's like we're not catching the defense off guard or anything. They know that we're going to run first down. So what do? They stack the box, and they don't change it. They just continue to run the ball on first down. You've been on 4, 5, 6 series now, and you're doing the same shit, calling a run play on the first play. It's not working. Why continue? I really do not get it. That it's just the run game was just non-existent for us on versus the Jags. I think it's time to put a bit more faith in May and just let him sling the fucking ball. Just let him have it. Be more aggressive with your play calling. We're not going to go and win the playoffs now, are we? So just let them go and play how they want to play. But I don't know. I think the play calling sometimes is just too predictable and just not good enough.
Yeah, we got the number one. At least we got the number one pick at the moment.
Yeah, as it stands, yeah. And just on the defense, like, it's one thing that I spoke to Nick about in the pub on Sunday, just briefly, and we're getting run all over at the moment, and we can't seem to stop many things. But you look at the players we're wheeling out there. We've spoken about the injuries and the lack of talent anyway, but you've got guys like Johnson. Who's that guy? You've got Aquale probably playing full-time snaps when he should be a rotational player. You've got Jaquelin Roy playing in the middle of the defensive line. Christian Ellis is a starting linebacker. Like, Marte Mapu is now being relied upon as one of our move-around defensive backs. Like, he's having to play almost all the snaps. You know, Marco Wilson was starting at outside corner at times during this game. Like, that's the reality of our situation, is that our roster is depleted and it is talent poor, and a lot of these guys that we're seeing out there that we're lambasting at times for not being able to do anything, they're being thrown into the fire here, because like they are players that should not be really starting for an NFL roster, but they have to, and that is the reality of our poor roster building. And yes, I think there's been comments made this week about comments made by Belichick, made against Belichick, and whatnot. Yes, his poor drafting and roster construction over the years is still hurting us now, even though he's now gone. But I don't think equally Elliott Wolf, with the assets he's had, has done enough to adjust to address that. Now, I've been quite critical of Elliott Wolf, and I don't think they're going to fire him this season. But next year, if you look at where we stand with the most cap space in the NFL, and with, as Nick said, the current number one overall pick, which I think we're all in agreement we should probably trade down if that's the situation.
Deja vu from last year. Trade down, trade down, trade down.
We don't have anyone that we need to re-sign. This year was pretty much all re-signings and a couple of new additions. Now, if we've got $150 million sat there next year with no one of our own players to re-sign, he has literally got to spunk that cash on this roster from top to bottom.
But who's going to want to come? That's the next question.
Money talks.
Yeah,
just got,
I know money talks.
T Higgins is available on a free agency. You go to T Higgins and you say, "Here is 30 million a year to come and be our number one." He will come and be our number one.
But do you think Christian have it in him to play the way he wants to play?
Yeah,
he's just there for the money.
Ronnie Stanley, left tackle from Baltimore. Go and get him. Pay him. If you have to pay him Trent Williams money, you pay him Trent Williams money, but pay him. And you also get Drew from the 49ers, Drew Greenwood. Linebacker. Yeah, Dre Green, linebacker. That is three. They are like the three of the best free agency players you can get, unless they sign new deals in the next thing. But you've got Josh Uche's contract is running out at the end of the season. Look,
let him go.
Get rid of him now. Fourth, fifth, whatever you can get for him. Fourth, fifth, send him now. Bourne, Kendrick Bourne. It's like San Francisco need a wide receiver, having just lost Ayuk. Send Bourne back there. It might only be a third, but send Bourne back there. Jonathan Jones, see you later. Anybody want to give us a fifth for him? Anybody who is not Kyle Duggar, Keon White, Drake May, Christian Gonzalez,
Pop.
Then you're on the trade block, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody, with the exception of maybe half a dozen players, everybody is on the trade block.
Yeah, some players aren't going to be desirable, but there are definitely some we could trade away. I'd be looking to move Uche. John Jones, I agree with as well. I like John Jones a lot. He's been a great servant to the team, but he's 31. You're not going to give him a new contract, so may as well move him on. Bourne, he's another one. You may as well try and flip Taekwon and KJ Osborne while you're at it as well. So it's just, now trying to rebuild for next year. We're going to have decent draft capital. If we do end up with number one overall pick, I'm pretty sure we would trade down seeing as we have our QB, it seems. And you can do a lot with that. But the investment in the roster has to happen next year. And it isn't just the splashes for Ronnie Stanley and Dre Greenlaw and T. Higgins, as you said, Nick, but it's also signing good depth players at other positions that might actually be half decent so that we don't end up playing undrafted free agents off other teams' practice squads for 75% of the snaps each week. That's not sustainable. If we don't improve the roster drastically next year, then Elliot Wolf is gone.
Just looking at the free agents for next year, this is there's some good players on this free agency list.
It's a good year to have 150 million in change.
There's loads of guys in there you'd like.
There are some good players. There are some good players there. I picked those three. I picked those three just because they were the top three that stood out to me in key positions that we needed. So,
and I said as well that I'd sign Jedrick Wills from the Browns and play him at right tackle where he played at Alabama, where I think he might be better. I think he's had some struggles on the left over the last couple of years, but moving back to his collegiate position, you have him on the right and Wenner at right guard, and you can either sign Ronnie Stanley or you can draft Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks. Oh look, you've got bookend tackles at last.
Garrett Bowles,
you've seen teams
love him.
Garrett Bowles.
You're going to lose. You're going to lose David Andrews at the end of the year. He's going to retire. All right.
I don't know if he is.
He's retiring. I'm surprised he came back this year. To be honest, guarantee you, David Andrews is retiring at the end of the year. So we will need a new centre. Now, you probably won't get a world-class centre on free agency, but you'll get some
Ryan Kelly from the Colts. I'll take him.
There's a lot of quality in this draft. All right, this draft coming. All right, the QB market may not be as strong, but there is serious strength in depth in the edge, defensive tackle, corner, safety.
Is it more defensive draft this year?
Yeah.
Prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said this on the college pod this week that I'm on. For the first time in NFL history, I'm willing to bet and probably guarantee it, a cornerback goes first overall.
Has that ever happened?
Never happened in the NFL as a cornerback ever gone first overall. I guarantee you a corner goes first. You've got Will Johnson, you've got Travis Hunter, you've got Benjamin Morrison. They are all could quite easily go number one themselves.
Hunter depends on if he goes WR or CB, yeah?
He might go WR, but there's only him, McMillian, and Burden are probably the three wide receivers that will get picked in the top 10. One or two, three quarterbacks maybe in the top 10, but it's Grant. Mason Grant will get in the top 10 as a defensive tackle, but it's definitely a defensive draft this year. There's so much strength in depth on the D side of the ball. That's why really you want to use your free agency to attack the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Ronnie Stanley, apparently he's getting, I don't know what this is. I'm guessing its market value is 7.5 million a year.
He's had trouble staying healthy, but when he's on the field, he's good.
Here, have 15.
People like
play for us.
Cam Robinson, the Jags geezer, he's on 18, and he's not even half the fucking thing Stanley is.
I think is he on the franchise tag?
Who, Cam?
The problem.
I think
the
Cam
problem
Robinson
the Patriots have. The problem the Patriots have is because they are not very good. To lure players in, you have to pay more money. You're going to have to pay more money to players to lure them in because you are not good enough. And that is unfortunately where we find ourselves.
Yeah, no, that is totally right. But obviously, there's a long way to go before then. There's going to be a lot of speculation about what happens. But I guess the question now is, boys, is what happens from here on out for the rest of the season? Because the expectations are an all-time low. Now, it does seem like we have the QB that we've lacked. Like Drake has played incredibly well the first 2 weeks. And yes, there's going to be peaks and troughs, but that seems to be the real shining light in our team at the moment. But we are sat at 1-6. We're going up against the Jets this week, which, like we said, they obviously laid one on us a few weeks ago. But it's now at the point where we have lost to Jacksonville, which we thought we were pretty confident in winning. We are not going to be favoured for any game for the remainder of the season. And will we lose every single game from this point outward? No, I don't think we will, because teams always find a way to shithouse 2 or 3 wins. But where do we go from here? Because we are going to not have any expectations of winning any games for the remainder of the season at this rate. And it's just going to get gloomier and gloomier in Foxborough.
I think it's more just giving May more reps, let him get used to the NFL, make him, I don't know, if he needs more time, more games to figure out who his primary targets are, work around what he needs. And like Nick says, I think we need to start looking ahead now and start shifting people now. If the transfer deadline's coming up in week 9, 10?
Yeah. You've got the Jets. You've got the Jets at home this week. Next week we're away at Tennessee,
which I think we could have a chance there.
The following week, which is just after the
Bears.
The Bears. That's just after the I was going to say transfer deadline, then the trade deadline. Then you've got Rams at home, away at Miami, at home to Indianapolis, away at Arizona, away at Buffalo, home to the Chargers, home to Buffalo. So I don't know. I really, after Tennessee, I don't know where a win's coming.
No,
I mean, there's games in there like Tennessee, Indianapolis, the Chargers, and Arizona, which on paper should be winnable games. But we said that about Jacksonville, so it's just so hard now to forecast like what the hell is going to happen. Like we could end up on 4 wins, 5 wins. We could end up sticking where we are. I really, really don't know. It's going to take.
How did we beat the Bengals? Please, I really do not know.
Because they never play in week 1. That is why. But if we are to win any games for the remainder of the season, it is down to our quarterback, and I think that is the bottom line. He will keep us competitive in games. The team's on his back already, and that's a lot of pressure for him to shoulder. But he doesn't seem to be fazed by that.
No.
But there we go. Right, moving on then. This weekend, of course, it is the Jets at Gillette Stadium. Very interested to see what the crowd is like for this one. Obviously, we're heading into cold weather in New England. The team's 1-6 off the back of a loss to Jacksonville. I don't think there's going to be a massive crowd going in for this one. But once again, like I said earlier in the podcast, it's one of them games where you absolutely have to step up. It's a rivalry game. Like you've lost 6 in a row. You've had your ass handed to you across the pond. This is the one game where you want to step up and smash those green jerseys in front of you. So where do we see this one going realistically?
It's a coin flip for me. It's genuinely a coin flip because both teams aren't great. Both teams need the win. It's a coin flip. I can't call it yet. I felt really positive going into the Jacksonville game. I felt really positive that this was going to be a win. I mean, I sat there in the pub and I just said, look, we weren't too far off in that Seattle game. If we turned up and played like we should have done in the Miami game and not the performance we put in, there was an argument to say that, all right, we were going into Jacksonville at 1-5, I think it was, whatever. We could have quite easily been 3-3, but then you watch the Jacksonville performance and it's just like, we are a very poor team. You've got to expect to be beaten. And while I would love to beat the Jets, I just don't have any confidence.
Yeah, I think for me, it's all going to depend on what kind of Rodgers turns up, because at the moment he's been a bit of a hit and miss. He might perform one week and then the next one he's a bit meh. So as long as our D can kind of like control Rodgers, obviously he's got Adams now. But the bookies, they have us like minus. They have the Jets at -7, so we're underdogs here. If our D can, like I say, can control Rodgers and control that the way he wants to spread the ball, then yeah, I think we might have a slight chance. But the way that we performed against Jacksonville, I'm not gonna hold my breath to this. I've got us losing it.
Yeah, and what doesn't help us, obviously, compared to the last time we played, we spoke this season about how we seem to have been getting lucky where a number of key players for the opposing team seem to be going down. But this week, obviously, the Jets not only have Devontae Adams now, but Hassan Reddick has decided to pull his finger out of his arse and decide to play. So they now have an additional pass rusher against us. Plus, we've now got to guard Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. Plus, that means Lazard is probably going to be all over Marcus Jones in the slot. And Breece Hall, I mean, he'll be licking his lips considering we're giving up over 5 yards to carry at the moment. So on paper, this just seems like it's going to be a bit of a beatdown. But I want us to keep it competitive and just more growth from Drake May again. Like, don't go out against the Jets, against what is a good defense and a good secondary. Don't go and throw 3 picks and just it be utterly dismal. Go out and stand poised and just do what you do. Take what's there and put in another positive performance so that we can continue to hail Drake as our savior and our one shining light in the franchise. We don't want our one shining light to go out after 3 weeks and everyone start doubting him, because that would be wrong. So yeah, I would love us to win this game. My question would be to you boys is, if we win this game, where does the confidence level go from this point? Because that could be a real catalyst for turning this run around. If we are to beat the Jets at home, big rival, could that then springboard a run of fixtures where we might roll off a couple of wins?
I mean, it might, but like Nick said, the schedule after Titans is really difficult.
We had an easy first half of the season. We needed to put wins together early, so
yeah.
Tennessee, Jacksonville, Miami was so beat up when they came. That should have been a win. That'd have been 3, and when you watched how we played against Seattle, that should have been 4. And then I was surprised that we beat Cincinnati, because I expected a loss, but I'm not going to turn my nose up at a win. So, I don't think you're sort of out of the stratosphere and pipe dreaming by saying, we could have beaten those teams. But I look at that second half of the schedule, and apart from maybe the Indianapolis Colts on a bad day, maybe Buffalo at the end of the season if they're playing all their second, third string because they've won the division already. I don't know. So
I think it's more as well. Like, I don't mind losing, but I want us to be going in the right direction and having positives with the team. And obviously then going into free agency, can we attract talent around May as well? I think that's probably what the key thing is to do for the remaining part of the season is to play well, play tough, and just ball out every game. Just don't
develop an identity is important as well, like a clear identity of a team.
It's a new identity.
Players will want to come if Drake May continues this upward curve and shows this continued growth and progression and talent that he has shown, then players will want to come and play here. I mean, okay, it might still be an effective. I don't want to play for a bad team like New England, but like there will be some players that go, do you know what? I wouldn't mind going to play with Drake because like he's a genuinely good player. Like we could transform the team. So I think that could be in play, but yeah, it's going to be, if we continue to implode, then it's going to make things very difficult for recruitment next year. That's for certain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, boys, we're coming up to nearly an hour now. We'll get our predictions in and then we'll close out the podcast. So what are we going for?
Go on, Nick, you go first. Do the honours.
2013 Jets.
Ooh.
Go on, DJ.
I've gone 21-10 Jets.
Okay.
We are a Patriots podcast, aren't we? We've just gone 2 Jets.
No. That's how much confidence we have right now.
Yeah.
Mental.
I'm going to go 23-17 Jets.
Oh.
Going to go with Drake. We're going to score a couple of touchdowns. I'm going to go with Drake's continued progression, but just won't be enough. I don't think the defense will keep up in this game. I really don't. I think, to be honest, as much as I get moaned at for picking the Jets to win, and we all have, like, if we hold the Jets to 23 points after what Jacksonville done to us last week, then I'll be quite happy with that. So that's that. Right, we have come towards the end of this week's Patriots Talk podcast. Thank you very much for joining us late on this Friday night. We thought it was important to get a show out this week, obviously off the back of Wembley. So we really appreciate you joining us. And as we said, if you were one of those people that picked up one of our cards and are listening to the show for the first time, we really appreciate you being here. And I hope you'll be along for the ride in the long term. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the Gronk spike the subscribe button, as Carl would normally say. And of course, follow us on all our social media platforms, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube as well. And of course, on the Sports Social Network. Have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully, Sunday won't be as dismal as it could look on paper. We will speak to you next Tuesday. Hopefully, more of the team will be back next Tuesday. But until then, thanks for watching and go Patriots.